One, I don't get caught up in how people see me, good or bad. I don't invest in what people think of me, good or bad. I left the Breakfast Club today and they said, "Don't read the comments." I read all the comments, and I don't care if they're good or bad.
That's me. I
but I
be in
don't.
them
But I don't.
comments.
I don't read the
I don't
comments.
care if they're good or bad because, I mean, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say online that's gonna actually change the course of my day?
Right.
I'm not going to invest in none of that. I don't invest in anybody's perception or anything about me. And it's not because of ego. It's just because I'm really focused on my relationship with God, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my staff, my relationship with my team, and the vision for my life. That's all I'm worried about. Everything else is noise. When you go to Dubai, I've been there 6 times this year. When you get off that plane, you don't hear social media. You don't hear a bunch of noise. You don't see litter. You don't see protesting. You see people praying. It's quiet, it's calm, it's controlled. You can say whatever you want about the lack of democracy. I love it. They embrace me. I mean, I love it there. Then you come back, as soon as you land, it's so loud. It's Black Twitter,
Chaos.
Chaotic,
it's
yeah.
Black Twitter, racism, elitism, classism, sexism, homophobia, you know, and it's like, wow. I don't know how to digest all that, but what I will say is that to people that have mental health issues, my mother had a bunch of stuff going on. I was raised just thinking my mom was crazy, but I didn't realize she was bipolar and manic and had a bunch of other stuff going on, health issues or whatever. And so the way she behaved was out of her control. And I didn't understand that because we're all conditioned to be in control. Well, mental health is real and some people are out of their own control. So I learned compassion. And when she died, I let all of what I felt about her and all of what I experienced with her and all of what she did to me die with her. And I said this the other day, and I don't mean this in a rude way. I can't say that I miss her because I don't miss her, but I also am not happy that she's dead. I think I enjoyed the time I had with her. I'm glad that she's at peace. I don't wake up one day and say, I wish that I did this different, or I wish we had this relationship, or I wish that she was alive. I look at it like, what did I learn from that? I learned have compassion for people who are challenged with mental health disabilities. I learned forgiveness is power for me and not them, right? It helps me to deal with my feelings. It helps me to control how I feel. And me letting her die with peace, knowing that I forgave her for all the very mean things that she did and all of the times that she hurt me, it gave me power over that relationship. So I look at it as an experience that God gave me, and I don't look at my other friends and go, well, why is their parents treating them differently and loving them differently than mine? Because that is time that would take away from what I'm doing that's building the life that I live right now. One of my assistants the other day, yesterday, we were at dinner, and his mother called him and she was guilting him about different things because now he's moving around the world and he's living in a nice house and he's making money and he's independent. He doesn't need her for anything. And as he was explaining to her whatever he decided to explain to her, I explained to him that he didn't owe her an explanation because when she chose a man over her son, that's a thing that he needs to be able to reconcile with. And now that he can choose him over everybody else, that's what he needs to do. And so, what I do with the people around me is teach them that you don't need to be an emotionless tree, but you absolutely can't let people emotionally abuse you or emotionally control you or manipulate you into their plans. And I expect everybody around me to be strong minded because I want them all to flourish at some point and be bosses of their own. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Take care of your mental health.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that because at one point, I think I've talked about it on the show before, at one point in my life, me and my mama just didn't get along. And at one point, I told her, I was like, look, when you call, sometimes I just look at the phone and let it ring.
Hmm.
That's not what I wanted, but I knew that I don't have the emotional capacity to deal with it.
Hmm.
So I put it to the side, take you for who you are, and understand that you are who you are, whatever it is. And I think that's what kind of helped me later on actually have a relationship with her. Because I knew in that moment, this wasn't there to deal with her.
No, but what you told her was I set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I was in control of the rules of engagement. I just didn't engage with you. But see, we're conditioned as black people. That's your mama.
Yep.
That's your daddy. I don't
Yeah,
care
I
who
don't
that
care
is.
who it is,
Ain't
man.
nobody getting permission to abuse me. My dad's wife just died a couple weeks ago, and I ain't called him, and I didn't go to the funeral because I don't owe them that. Because when my mother died, he asked me what her name was, last name.
Wow.
He very disrespectful. So I look at it again like I don't wake up every day and feel like I owe anybody but God and myself
Myself, yeah.
Hmm.
anything. Everything else is just par for the course, but I owe myself and God everything. and I stay locked into God every day, all day, and I stay locked into myself. I check in like just right now as you were talking. In my mind, I was thinking, analyzing how tired am I? Do I want to cancel the rest of my day? Do I want to go home and just drink water and sleep? I have the right to go home and drink water and sleep. I don't have to go to this event or do this interview or do this or that because I need to constantly check in with my mental health and how I feel. That takes precedent over everything. Literally, as we're talking, that's what I was just thinking about the rest of my day. Like, should I clean that out, but clear that out? But
Wait, so you wasn't listening to me?
no, no, no,
That's
no.
really what he's saying. He said, I really wasn't listening to you.
Let me tell you, when you throw the type of shade I do, you got to be able to hear what you saying. I got to be able to see what
He's
he doing.
saying.
I got to see what she. Why she over there? She was just right there. You got to pay attention to multiple things. You got to be able to. That mind is multi-layer. But no, I was. I'm constantly, even when I'm in anything, whether it's a story breaking, going viral, or a deal that I'm doing, or somebody explains something to me that I don't want to hear. I'm analyzing how I feel because you have to be able to check in with yourself, or you will go crazy. Oh yeah, no, no. Okay, so let's talk about there's different Jasons, right? 10-year-old Jason in the foster home was not understanding why moms wasn't getting off drugs, why moms, and that's where the animosity started with. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm doing the best that I can. So I never really understood as a 10-year-old what does that mean because naturally, your mother should want to take you home. Your mother, you should be with your mother, or what your father, you should be with your father. So you start to develop that animosity. Then the leaving continuously creates the abandonment. So then when you get in, then you start to seek relationships where you're being rejected. Then you get into situations where the rejection triggers old thoughts or old things, right? Funny you asked that question because the person I was just talking to the other day, I was in my studio preparing for an interview with Lala. And I knew Lala was coming up the elevator something like 5 minutes. So I had 5 minutes to get off how I felt. And this person, I had checked in with them because I was going to fly them out for my party and I wanted them to celebrate with us, but they hadn't returned their phone call. But I was so present in my mind of the experience I was experiencing with this person because I knew that they had issues with their past relationships and feeling like they would lose independence if they would date me because I had more than them and whatever. When I called them, I was met with all this stuff that they had gone through before. So I was able to hear that I was talking to somebody who was transferring previous relationship stuff. And I had never been rude to this person, but I did let off.
It was a
I had
reaction.
5 minutes, and I let off everything I felt about. I let off everything I felt they needed to hear in a way that I would be talking about was on my podcast. This is something they had never experienced because they were telling me how they thought I was this and this and that. But after I said what I needed to say, what I realized was that I was confronting somebody who had to understand I wasn't going to go through that abandonment experience with them. I wasn't about to deal with PTSD or abandonment because I was trying to create an authentic experience and they were trying to hold me accountable for everything that they had already gone through.
In the past.
And I ain't about to do that. Then that's that cycle. It's almost
Now I'm the savior.
it's the same reason why I've
Yeah.
chosen not to have kids up until this point because I know that to compromise my interest to get on planes whenever I want or wake up with however many people I want or do whatever I want to do. I need to know that I'm not going to do that around my kid because that's what my dad did. That's what my mother did. I'm having conversations about it now because now there's I have resources. I can have kids if I want kids. So yeah, I'm thinking about it. I am, but I also need to know like this morning I realized for the first time I don't want a morning show because I don't
To
want to
get
get
up
up.
early.
Right. I don't want to get because
That's fair.
the idea of having Wendy Williams every 10 a.m. Nah, I'm that maybe late night, but not morning. 'Cause I'm not a morning person. So it's just saying with a kid, like I literally got me two dogs last year to see how I feel about two dogs, and I love my dogs, and I love the love that they give, and I have the support to make sure that they're still alive right now. So now I'm like, okay, I can deal with some dogs,
What you
maybe.
get?
I got a French. Is it English bulldog? English or French bulldog? I got an English bulldog and a Labradoodle.
The English bulldog, they kind of easy. They lazy.
No,
For real?
not this one. Nah.
Oh
Mm-mm.
wow.
Do that too. And then I had a dog, and 6 months later, I had a girl pregnant.
You have a kid now?
Yeah, she's about to be 2.
Oh wow, okay. And how did it change your life?
Oh yeah, and I'm just listening to everything you said, and I'm just like, it's definitely a sacrifice because I used to get on planes, and now I'm at home.
But see, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
now I'm at home
See,
being a
like
dad.
I just so Cardi B is my first guest on my show, and we were talking about parenting because I met Cardi before she had culture. I met and before she had wave, and her ambitions were bigger than life. And to watch her not compromise her career for her desire to have a family and manage both and sacrifice a lot for both has been interesting to watch, you know. And then now when you think about it, like my fear of raising a kid is one, being a failure like my parents, and two, creating a person who comes into the world that has to coexist with the rest of the world and that gives the same stuff my parents gave me. I don't want them to be traumatized. I don't want them to lack love or stuff like that. And then the other thing is, you have to think about your kid before you make a move, because it ain't about you no more. And I have to make sure I'm not selfish, because in many ways you have to be very selfish when you're building your career. And people will say, oh, don't be, yeah, you can be Mother Teresa if you want to, but you have to be obsessed with what you're doing and selfish to the extent that all your time and energy is going into that. Because once you plant that seed and you start watering, you seeing it grow, then you know the more water you put on it, the more it's going to accelerate the growth. You don't want to keep going until it's where you want it to be. And that's, I would think, the same with a kid, but I just haven't been there in my life yet to.
I have a question, right? So, do you have, given everything, right, from your upbringing as a kid to now, and I don't know, but I'm assuming that a lot has been healed.
Mhm.
Do you have any triggers you think that still linger around?
That's a good question. You know what's crazy? I just talked to Lala and them on my show about a trigger that I just had. I will say that I don't know that a lot has been healed, because the way I am, I very much have suppressed a lot of things.
Got it.
I'm a person who's mastered compartmentalization, right? I compartmentalize my relationships. Like, you might do business with me, but you may not come to my house. You may come to my house, but you may never do business with me.
Yeah.
I may see you at the club, but that don't mean that we need to have a dinner party. I put everybody in a box until I feel comfortable. Even new employees, when they come in, they know you can't really talk to me a lot right away. I got to fill you out. I got to watch how you move. I got to see if I can trust you. Until you warm up with me, or until I'm really warmed up to you, I'm very guarded. So that's one. I'm very, very untrusting, especially with the business I do. Because when you come to my house, everybody signs an NDA. As soon as they come in, my assistant will hit you right. As soon as you get to the top of the stairs, you get an NDA, intimate or not. And sometimes it's hard to have a person that you want to be intimate with.
Sign
Say,
it.
hey,
Yeah.
hey, talk to Andrew's going to
I,
talk to you really quick. I'll be
I
right back. Now, I'm going to get water because Andrew about to slap your ass with an NDA. And one guy, he was like, I'm offended. You treat me like I'm one of these hoes. I'm like, see how you acting right now? That's
That's
why I'm
why.
saying you
problem.
That's
sign
exactly the
NDA. You know
reason.
what I mean?
And that's why we need
That's
the
why you
NDA.
sign
Sign here.
NDA. But the other thing is, like, a chef will sign an NDA because you're in my home.
Right.
When I get a call from Cardi B about something else, or Rihanna's here, or this or that, there's a lot going on in my house. We're not sitting around talking about the homies. I'm talking about my homies, but some of my homies are that stuff is on. It can end up on the internet. I will never have one of my friends put a story of somebody up. If you call me or Madonna calls me, you should both be able to feel like you have the same level of freedom, and that your privacy is going to be protected. And I protect everybody's privacy. I don't tell people's secrets and all that kind of stuff, unless it's part of my job.
That's
But
part of
it's
my
nothing
job.
that they tell me, that if you tell me a secret, it's because you're telling me because you want it to go out a certain way, and I'm going to help you put it out. When I watched my brother get his brains blown out, that really fucked my life up. Like,
Whoa,
it fucked me
wait.
up in many ways, where it made me emotionless in many ways. I can lose a relationship, and to this day, and this is probably not healthy, but I can end a relationship, and if I'm following on Instagram, once I unfollow you, after a while, I'll just forget about you. Like, literally, I will forget about anything. You won't even be top of mind. I can have a close relationship with you, but once it comes to an end, I get closure, and then I can be out in public, and we don't even have to have a moment. And I'm okay with that. When my brother died, I would get drunk all night. Well, I would work all day, then go out and party all night. It was just partying. It wasn't getting drunk. Partying all night, and then come home and crash. Then you wake up, you work all day, then you go out and you party all night. And sometimes we still do that, but I know how to now go, okay, we did too much. We need to take a break, or we need to slow down, or maybe we'll go out and drink and not get too drunk. And then there are times where we do rage and have a good time and party, and it's just partying. But again, that's why you go through the process of working on yourself, because I'm a work in progress. I haven't perfected anything. I think a lot of people, when you see them go online and say, I healed myself and this and that, then 4 years later they committed suicide. Everybody got their shit, and everybody sits online and judges everybody else. I don't go online. You'll never see me in somebody's comments, oh, you this, you that, you that, because I'm so busy building my own life. I don't know, and even if your business is my business, it's literally for my business. It's not that I'm that invested.
No, he called it suppression.
Yeah.
Well, he called it both, actually.
Well, there's two differences,
Yeah.
right? Compartmentalization for me is like, if you think about, like a box with different sections in it. Everything goes in its section, like spices. Everything has its own little thing, right? But suppressing is when you take something, you just push it down. You
Yeah.
just ignore it. I've done a lot of that too. A lot of people do that. It's normal. Just I don't want to deal with that. And it's not for me. It hasn't been because it's too painful. Like dealing with my mom's death. That it wasn't. I mean, it was, it was sad, but it wasn't painful. It was sad, because she didn't get to live out her life and fix the things that she was going through the way that she probably wanted to, or she didn't have the relationship with me that she says she wanted, but because of her mental health issues and the way she behaved, she could never have. So for me, I don't know that I suppressed my relationship with her. I just said, okay, this is what it is, and that's it. Whereas my brother's death, I suppressed for a long time, but then I decided to work through. You know what I mean?
Were you close with him?
Oh yeah,
Very
yeah,
much
very, yeah, very close. I was, yeah, very close. But then that's also, I think, why I've had a lot of compassion for Kanye, because I look at Kanye as like the same way I would look at my mom that had her issues, or I look at, somebody who offered me opportunity and who, in very personal ways, I felt like is a good person, that does a lot of mean things, right? For whatever reason. And you look at them and you're like, I don't want to say feel sorry for them, but you just kind of want to be that support that you believe they need when a person just shows you time and time again that that's who they are and that's what they choose and that's the type of time they're on. And you just got to accept that that's what it is, and you have to decide whether you with it or not. Well, it's sort of like if you're not with the KKK, if you're not with racism, you're not gonna go to a KKK rally. If you don't believe in racism or you don't believe in elitism, then if you vote for Trump, you found something in that world that you still believed in. I don't align myself with anything that does not align with my core values. And once whoever I'm aligned with decides to step outside of things that just doesn't go along with my core values, then I decide to move on. It NDA is only going to be worth how much you or want to spend to enforce it. I would be petty and do whatever it takes to enforce the NDA, but like I'm not. Mine is more about protecting my privacy from what you hear around my world, not necessarily things we talk about as a personal human being to another. Well, I think like when you hang out with me, you learn fairly quickly that I'm not what you see online. Online, so I could be messy. I can be a thought. I could be all types of
I could
different
be a
things.
thought.
I could be a thought online, but that maybe that's a part of me. But when you hang out with me, it's very different, and I keep the same crew around me, and I trust that they know when people are around for the wrong reasons. And I don't know, it's an energy thing. I follow the energy, and energy you can only keep fake energy for so long. After about a week or two, who you are shows up. You call me after 2 weeks talking about how's Rihanna doing.
Not how you doing.
None of my friends ask about my those friends. They don't. Yeah, hey, seen Kanye? No, have you seen Kanye? I don't know. Go to Hollywood Online. I don't know what he's doing. Like none of my people. I have to force them to go and speak to people that I'm around. You're like, go say hi to Kanye, man. Just go say hello to Rihanna. I have to force them. So my friends ain't around me for that.
I have a question about, and this is really just a personal thing I want to know about. So you have like this code switching course,
Yeah.
Wait.
and it
wh-
resonated with me because growing up, your parents send you to these like the white schools and the go do all these types of programs and this, that, and the other, and you learn to code switch, and it's not even something that someone tells you to do. It's just you pick it up. And so I just wanted to like get your take on how you feel, and just how important do you think it is?
So the course she's talking about, I launched MediaMillionaires.com, which is basically shows people whether you're in broadcast, podcast, blogging, business, how to develop a business, a successful, multimedia company or whatever. Well, code switching is important. I'm black. I'm gay. I'm from California, but I travel the world. You go to. They said when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. When you go to Dubai, you do as the
Dubai.
Emiratis do. You know what I mean? You do as they do. So I've learned how to code switch. I can go and talk to the president of Boost Mobile or the president of the United States or WAC 100, and the goal is to get a successful outcome for whatever that conversation is with. If I want to meet with the president's team about money from the DNC or DCCC, that's a conversation about how I can get resources to invest in my business. If I want to talk to WAC about interviewing Blueface or Krishan, or getting the game to show up for something, that's how to help build my business. If I'm talking to the president of Boost Mobile, it's about how can we put resources into creating content that hit his demographic. So it's always about, like, depending on who I'm talking to, the conversation may be different because me and Wack are going to have one conversation that's different than the conversation with the president of the United States. But ultimately, the goal for me in every conversation is how to move the needle on what I'm pursuing. I don't like to have conversations that don't build what I'm building or don't advance what I'm building. When I'm with my friends traveling, that's the balance I need to have a breather from the hustle. But when they go with me on trips, like my friends are with me now, I'm in interviews all day. They're out shopping or whatever at the hotel. I come back for lunch. We check in. We have a good time. We go out and have hookah at night. I get up in the morning, go back to doing what I need to do. They come along with me, hopefully get inspired by it, go back to their hustles and do what they need to do. So technically, yeah, every situation you're in, you're forced to code switch. What I don't do is sell out. I don't sit in front of white people and act like I'm not proud to be black. I don't walk in a room with black people and defend my blackness. I don't feel like I need to explain what I believe in to make a person feel comfortable. In fact, I don't go in any room and say what they want to hear to feel comfortable. I go in and tell them what I want for what's best for me and our relationship, and I do it and deliver it in a way that they can consume, but I don't do it at the detriment of who I am as a person.